Hi ladies, so welcome back to my channel. So I'm finally coming back to you guys with the part 2 of how to blend eyeshadows for beginners. Now before I get started, I just want to say I'm so very sorry for being gone for so long, but there's just been a lot going on right now and I just haven't had the time to sit down and record and edit a video. Anyway, I don't want to make this intro too long, so we'll just jump right into the tutorial. So in part 1 of this video, I showed you guys how to apply one eyeshadow and how to blend it. In this video, I'm going to show you how to blend together 2 or more colors, and I'm going to use 2 different techniques. I'm going to use the sandwich method on one eye, and then I'm just going to use a regular application for the other eye. Now just like I did for the first video, I went ahead and primed my eye, and next I'm going to use a white base. And if you haven't seen part 1 of this video, I'll link it somewhere in the video and also in the description box so you can watch that video first. Okay, so now that I have my base applied, I'm going to use a transition color to blend around that base. And remember, your transition color is a color that is very close to your skin tone. And this is just going to help blend the base out and also give a nice fade in between your brow highlight and the colors that you're going to apply on your lid. So I'm just going to use a large fluffy brush to apply that. So today I'm going to be using my Sugar Pill Heartbreaker palette. And for this eye, I'm just going to use a regular application method. With this method, you want to typically use the lightest color in the inside and fade to your darkest color. Now I know there are rules to makeup, but honestly you can do whatever you want to do, but that's just typically the way it goes. Usually you want your lightest color towards the inner part of your eye. Now with this palette you have this light color and then you also have this lime green. So you can kind of pick and choose which one you want to use in the inner portion. And I think I'm going to go with the green. So I'm just using a small flat brush, and this size brush is really good for the inner part of your eye just because it's a lot smaller versus this flat brush. As you can see, this one is a little bit wider than this one. So it just depends on what you're going for. So I'm going to pick up some of that green, and as you can see there's a lot packed on there. What you want to do is tap off the excess, because that's just going to cause fallout, and especially if you've already applied your foundation, once you apply that color it could fall out onto your cheeks and ruin your foundation. So you want to make sure you're tapping off the excess every time you dip back into that color, just so you prevent fallout. I'm going to use that same pressing motion to get the eyeshadow to stick and be more vibrant. Now sometimes when you're working with light, like really light colors like this or like a yellow, you'll have to go back in several times just so you can get the intensity that you want from that color. So I'm going to go back in with that green and tap off the excess again and then go back in. Now it's up to you how far in you go. If you want more of the green, then obviously you'll go a little further. If you only want a pop of green, you can just go right in the inner corner. So it's up to you where you want to stop with that color. Okay, so now that I have the green where I want it and it's at the intensity that I want, I'm going to go in with my second color, which is this this turquoise color, and I'm going to use a larger brush. You can stick with the same brush if you want to, just flip it over and use the clean side, but I'm going to go with a larger brush just because I want to get, since there's more surface here. So I'm just going to go in with that color, tap off the excess, and anytime you're applying a new color right next to the color that you just placed, you want to kind of overlap the colors together. Because if you just place the color right next to it, you can see a defined line where the green stops and that turquoise starts. And the whole idea of adding a bunch of different colors together, you don't want to see any lines. You want there to be a seamless transition from the first color to the last color, whether you're applying 2 colors or 10 colors. So right here is where that green stops. I'm going to slightly overlap the 2 colors so they blend together. And sometimes what I like to do, if I have color on one side of the brush and I'm trying to blend, I'll flip it over to the clean side and just kind of do a light sweeping motion so I can get that fade. So I'm pretty much just trying to erase that harsh line. And as you can see, you can't see exactly where one stops and the other starts. They just kind of fade together. So I'm just going to continue to add that color. So next I'm going to use this dark blue, and I'm just going to be placing that right on the outer portion of the eye. And just like I did for the inner portion, I like to use a small brush for the outer portion. It just gives me more precision as to where that color is going. I want to pick up some of that color, tap off the excess, and again, seeing where that light blue stops, I'm not going to go directly beside it, but just slightly overlapping it. And I'm also not going too far past my crease. As you can see, when I close my eye, where my eye folds, where my crease is, I don't have any color above that. And also with applying eyeshadow to the outer portion of your eye, you typically don't want to go past where your eyebrow stops. So I'm kind of keeping that color within my eyebrow area. So now that I have all those colors placed, you can see that it's pretty seamless from the first color to the last color. But now we have this harsh, defined line in the crease. Now there are a couple of things you can do to get rid of this. You can either go back into your transition color if these are the only colors that you want to use. But if you decide that you want to incorporate another color into the crease, then you can use that color to blend out the rest of your colors. So lastly, I'm going to use this purple color, and I'm going to use that to blend out around these colors. So again, for blending around colors, you definitely want to go with a blending brush or just something that's like dome shaped and fluffy. I'm just gonna swirl it in that color, just lightly on the tip, and then you still want to tap off the excess. Now what you want to do is, especially if you're using a color in the crease, or especially a black, you definitely want to pick up a little bit of color at a time. It's easier to get a light wash of color and then build upon it if you want to, than to put a heavy wash of color into the crease and then you can't take away from it. So lightly I just go around that blue. And as you can see, it's not a heavy wash of color, it's pretty light, but it is blending out those colors that I've already placed down. Also, if you're using a color to blend out around your colors that you've placed, you want to have more color concentrated on the outer portion than you do once you get closer to the middle. Because by this point I barely have any product on the brush, but it's still blending out those colors. And just remember that when applying a bunch of different eyeshadows and trying to blend them together and make them seamless, it is a process. So be patient with applying the colors, blending them, and then blending around them. It does take some practice and patience. Okay, so now that we've gotten all of our colors placed and all of them blended, I'm not sure if you can tell, but some of the color that I placed on the lid has been washed out, simply because when you blend them together and then you blend around them, some of the color gets washed away. So what I like to do is go back through those steps and reapply the colors, and just so I can build up the intensity of those colors. Now if you blend around them and you like the way it looks, it's not too intense, and you like the way it looks already, you can leave it just like this. I mean, it looks fine just like this, but I want it to be a little bit more bold. So I'm just gonna go back through, reapply the green, the turquoise, and the blue, and then blend around with that purple again. Alright, so now that we have this one eye complete, we can move on to the next eye and the next method. Okay, so the next method that I'm going to show you is called the sandwich method, which just means you have the same color on the outside and the inside corner, and then you have another color in the center. Now you're just using the same techniques. You pretty much just place the color down. Once you add in the next color, you just blend them in together. So first I'm going to use my transition color to blend out my base. So now that we have our base blended out, I'm going to go in with the same colors. And typically with the sandwich method, you want to use the darker colors on the outside and then the lightest color in the middle. So with the same palette, you have that purple and that blue that's pretty dark. But what I'm going to use is I'm going to use the purple on the outside and the inner corner, and then this turquoise in the center, and then I'm going to put the blue in between that and the green in the very inner portion of my eye. So again, for the inner and outer part of my eye, I'm going to use a small flat brush. And I'm going to pick up that purple, remembering to tap off the excess, and I'm just going to use a patting motion. So now in that empty space, you want to fill in with a lighter color. So I'm going to use this turquoise. And again, you don't want to just put it right in this empty space. You want to make sure you're overlapping where that purple stops. So this is how it would look if you didn't blend in between. If you just placed it in that empty slot, it looks ridiculous. So you want to make sure that where that line stops for that purple, that you're overlapping and blending. And again for the other side. Now that we have those two colors placed, I'm going to use this dark blue, and I'm just going to put this right in between the purple and the turquoise. Now with this method, it might take a little bit more going back in and reapplying the colors just so you can get everything just right. So I'm going to first take a blending brush, and you can either use another color to blend out around those, or you can use your transition color. And in this case, I'm going to use my transition color to blend those out. Now since this does look a little bit sloppy right now, I'm going to go back in with those colors and reapply them. Now what you could have done, instead of using this purple on the outside and inside, you could have used the blue on the outside and the purple where the blue was. But as you can see, especially with this blue and the turquoise, it's very seamless. So that does it for the second portion of this video. I really hope that you learned something. I really hope that these techniques were easy to do, and just remember that it definitely takes time and patience, and don't be discouraged if you don't get it right away your first time. I definitely did not get it my first time or the second time or the third time. It definitely took me a long time to get down how to blend and things like that. I would say most of all, make sure that you have the correct tools to do these methods. I definitely suggest getting a large flat brush, a small flat brush, and a blending brush. I would say that a large flat brush and a blending brush are an absolute must. You can pretty much do both of these looks just using these two brushes, and you can definitely find some inexpensive ones, definitely at Target. They have the Sonia Kashuk line. They definitely have blending brushes and flat eyeshadow brushes. Also, e.l.f. carries some brushes that they're pretty good. I would just check out your local Target and see what they have, and I'm sure you can find something there that can help you achieve these looks. I also recommend getting a magnified mirror. This will definitely help you to see up close on your eye exactly if your eyeshadow is blending together, because I know it's a lot harder to see if you're using your bathroom mirror. It might be really far away and you can't really see the details that are going on with your eyeshadow. I think it'll give you more accuracy and precision. Anyway, I thank you ladies so much for watching. I hope you learned something from this video, and I hope that you practice these techniques, and just any moment that you get, any chance that you get, when you have some free time, just sit down and practice blending different colors together. The more you practice, the better you'll get, and just remember that you won't be an expert at blending overnight. It definitely took me a long time to get down the art of blending eyeshadows. Please let me know if there are other techniques or other beginner videos that you ladies want to see, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.